Welcome to Vegas Circle with Paki and Chris, and today joining the circle with us at Bottega Exchange, we've got Matt Hamblin, CEO and founder of Smart Pest Solutions.
Yeah.
So we are excited to have him here, man. I know we got a lot to talk about. You got a lot of layers to you, man. And,
Definitely.
And excited to hear about changing the world, being on the board with Bright Island Outreach, and obviously how you built your company, Smart Pest Solutions. So welcome, man. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
Matt, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, man.
So we've been trying to do this for a while. Matt's a friend of ours, man. So kind of tell our listeners, kind of your background and where you grew up, and obviously how you got in pest control, of course. So
Yeah. No, it's pretty crazy. There's one thing I've kind of learned. It's that like nothing goes the way that you think. I was just talking to my daughter about this, that one way to kind of control stress is just to not try to imagine what the future's going to be like. We always worry about stuff in the future, but my experience has taught me that it's not going to go anything, like you thought it was going to. You guys probably didn't think you were going to be where you're at.
not at all.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I keep hearing that more from business people. We had Nick Santanastas on. He was saying the same thing. He was like, look, I live in the moment. He was like, I live in the moment and try to go that option versus trying to set everything up, because you don't know. Like you said, you got to adjust and pivot. And
I've been trying to live in the moment. I think that's the key. I've read a bunch of books and stuff on all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that seems to be the way to stay happy.
For sure.
The basic thing is says that like our fear and all the negative emotions are in the future, and then our depression's in the past. Like our brain's either back there stewing over something that we can't change, or we're in the future and we're thinking about what might happen. But that's the point I was kind of making, or what I've learned is it's like it doesn't go that way though. We always create the worst case scenario, and then it doesn't happen.
That's true. Yeah. Now you originally wanted to be a doctor or a dentist originally, right? Before you started getting into pest control? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just to back up, it's like you said where I come from. I grew up in a tiny town of about 1,800 people in Northern California.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, my parents were both teachers. Dad, 37 years. He's a retired special ed teacher.
Oh, wow.
And my mom was 22 years as like a kindergarten teacher, first grade teacher.
Oh, okay.
So I'm the middle of 5 kids.
Oh,
So
good stuff.
Start upbringing.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I didn't realize we were poor until I got older, and there were certain things that made it very clear that like trying to raise 5 kids on a teacher's salary is just we were poor.
Yeah.
We were really poor.
That's
So
crazy.
you have a pest control, but also you have you're connected with Bright Island Outreach in the Dominican Republic. How did you kind of translate from going from your own business to helping out for a nonprofit?
Yeah, I grew up in this tiny little town, and I got a academic scholarship to go to BYU, and I wrestled like since I was 5 years old, and I was a good little wrestler, but I came from a tiny little town, so you don't know.
Get the exposure. And
You don't know if
everything.
you're good, right?
Yeah.
But I walked onto the wrestling team at BYU. I just kind of was missing the sport, and I knocked on the coach's door one morning, and he invited me in, and he's like, "What, do you want to try to wrestle for us?" And I said, "I don't think that I'm good enough to wrestle for you, but I just miss the sport." And I thought maybe I could just come and spar from time to time, like a boxer does.
Yeah. Keep it right. Keep it tight.
And he kind of smiled at me, and he laughed, and he's like, "Look, I'm not going to deny anybody a chance to get their ass kicked.
Yeah.
Because you'll find out real quick whether or not you belong in the room."
Yeah.
And he says, "Come out at 1 o'clock today." And so I went out, and as soon as I walked in there, I immediately regretted my decision. I was like,
It's at a different level too.
I was like, "Oh man, what did I do?" But yeah, so half an hour into it, pairs me up with this guy, and I started sparring with him, and we do live drills, live takedowns. Yeah, so we started to go, and 15 seconds, I took the guy down.
Oh wow!
And I got up, and I thought to myself, like, "Oh crap! Like I just took down a college wrestler. This is Division I." Like, and then I got up again, took him down. Got up again, took him down. And in that like 20 minutes or something like that, we were doing live drills. He didn't take me down once, and so it was water break, and I go to the get some water, and the coach comes up to me and he goes, he's like, "What's your name again?"
Yeah.
I go, it's Matt, and he goes, come talk to me after practice, Matt.
Yeah.
And so I started wrestling for BYU. He said, get a haircut, get a physical. I want to get you some scholarship money.
Yeah.
And it was that was probably the craziest day of my life, because my parents were struggling to try to put me through school, and I had a little bit of academic scholarship. My parents had been like, can you get Dad on the phone, Mom? She's like, how's school going? I go, kind of a crazy day today, actually. I want to tell you guys.
Yeah.
He got on the other line, and I'm like, so I joined the wrestling team today. I go, what do you mean you joined the team? And I go,
Just out of that.
yeah, I'm like, and I told him the story, you know, and I said, and they're going to give me some scholarship money. And that was crazy. That's the beginning of kind of what I was talking about. Like, you can't possibly know, but it also was like the beginning of who I am now and where I am now and all of that stuff, because
the toughness too.
It just it burst that little bubble that was what I was in a tiny little town.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's a pretty crazy moment.
Yeah. So how did you get involved being on the board with you guys call it Bio, right?
Bright Island.
Bright Island, yeah.
Yeah.
How'd you get connected with them?
Well, so I started the pest control company like 10 years ago. I did the whole reason why I was telling the wrestling story is just because my wrestling buddies, they talked me into going and selling door-to-door pest control
Okay.
when I was in my undergrad.
Okay.
So you were still in college when you were basically getting in the industry.
I was in college, yeah. So for my undergrad, that was my summer job.
Okay.
And then I was studying zoology with an emphasis in human biology, which is kind of because pre-med I was going to
Sure. Yeah, you're gonna be a doctor.
Yeah, I wanted to be an I was first thought orthopedic surgeon, and then got on track to be an oral surgeon.
Okay.
So I got accepted to a couple of dental schools at the when I graduated college, but decided not to go. I decided not to go because I went out on a nonprofit. I was 26 years old. This guy had asked me if I wanted to help grow a business, a pest control business. I'd already been doing it, all the sales stuff, or if I wanted to go to dental school. And I decided I could always go to dental school, maybe if the business thing didn't take off, but it did. I helped grow that guy's company for like 4 years, went from 2 trucks to 10.
Oh wow,
And then I started over and started my company, Smart, for about 10 years. But Bright Island, the way that went down, gotten separated, went downtown. I was living in downtown Phoenix at the time, and just kind of licking my wounds in this little apartment complex, just hiding out. I'm at a pool, and I had a big old beard, and this girl calls me over, and she's just like, "Hey, beard, do you want a beer?" And I'm like, yeah, I'm the only one with a beard. I was like, sure. So I went over, started talking to her, and she's like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "Oh, I got a pest control company." She's like, "Oh, we're all dentists." And I said, "Oh, I was going to be a dentist," and and got talking the story, and she's just like, "You got to meet my boyfriend." She's like, "You guys are kind of the same person," which is funny now that we're kind of best buds or whatever. This was the founder of Bright Island that I was meeting for the first time.
Good stuff.
But his my mom's name is Maxine Hamblin.
Okay.
His mom's maiden name is Marcine Hamblin.
She got
the same name.
Yeah, her name is
Shoot.
Harris. Now, but I think we were friends for about 4 years, and we thought it was funny that it was Marcine and Maxine, because we're like, oh, how weird, our mom's names are so close. And then one day he's like, wait a minute, Hamblin.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you guys connected, and you've been going down there with I think it was Nelson Cruz and all these guys, a lot of the folks that have been going down there helping and doing dental work and really impacting. I know you showed me some videos. It's unbelievable what you guys are doing down there.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we started 5 or 6 years ago. I'd always kind of wanted to get into that. The reason why I wanted to be a doctor was to go and help people. Yeah. It's kind of cool how life works out, though. It's like I kill bugs, and I use the money from killing to like go heal children.
That's unbelievable. Yeah.
But started working with him. See, the two professors, they started that organization, and I got in the second or third, and I realized that was kind of where I'd be able to help was more with logistics, right? Because they're dentists and they're dental professors, and they're good at like that. But I had spent 14 years organizing people, growing a company, logistics stuff. And so that's kind of where I fit into the mix.
And you so calm. That's what it is. You probably go down there, you just go all the madness. And you seem like you're so even keeled. Like,
no, it's
Zen. I'm start calling you Phil Jackson. The Phil Jackson vibe. Yeah, that's good stuff, man. So you've been going down there for this will be. You guys are going back again in January, right?
We're going back in January. Okay. Our first trip for this next year is January 12th through the 18th.
Okay.
We went out to a little tiny town called Las Matas, and it's close to Monte Cristi. It's right on the border of. It's like the northwest corner. It's real close to Haiti.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's this. I say little town. I grew up in a town of 1,800, but it's like 20,000 people there.
Okay.
And that's where Nelson Cruz came from.
Yeah.
And just people that don't know who he is, he just passed at the beginning of the season last year. He passed Joe DiMaggio for home runs, number of home runs. He's like somewhere in the 50s now, and he's still playing. He's 39 years old. But,
unbelievable.
He hit 40 home runs for the Minnesota Twins last year. So he's
a good player.
He's the real deal.
Yeah, definitely.
And you know, so we went out to do a clinic in his little town, and we just kind of hit it off. You know, he does a lot for his community, a lot for his town, and he helped sponsor our foundation to go and help. And since we did it last year, and he was on board, he liked it a lot. He's like, let's do this again. And so he wants to do it a lot bigger this year. So I usually have about 18 to 20 doctors, but we're going to try to get 30 for January.
That's
go
great,
back
man.
into his little town.
You
We're
know,
working about 500 people every time we go.
That's powerful, and I can't even imagine what it does to people's self-esteem. You know, when they're getting their teeth fixed and just everything that they're doing. That's great, man.
Yeah, just kind of provide insight. What is it exactly you guys are doing when you're going down there? So you bring a team of doctors with you, and
we go into just underserved areas. We'll go to little nooks. So I've been all over. It's funny because every time I say that I go out to Dominican Republic, people are like, "Oh, I've been there," and I said, "Punta Cana, right?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Yeah, I've never been to Punta Cana. I've been everywhere, but still."
Yeah.
One of these times I'll have to go down there and
for vacation.
Yeah. But I've been kind of everywhere else. There's a lot of sugarcane fields out there, so we go into these little places where the workers they're cutting the sugarcane. You got little kids have been shucking on sugar.
Yeah, just jacking their whole teeth up.
Yeah,
Oh,
well, it's super sad. Little primary teeth, 3-year-olds will just be rotted out, and then the permanent teeth are still up there, and they're starting to get decayed before they even
because
come
of the
down.
sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's a lot, a lot of educating that we do. We go into, we set up a clinic, and people come, and we work as hard as we can, bringing people through and working in our stations, these little mobile stations. So I have 35 totes, and they all pack up into these totes. We put them under a bus, and then when we do the next clinic, it's just kind of like, and we set it all up again. And so we bounce around the island doing that. And then we go into the elementary schools, pass out toothbrushes, do fluoride treatments, and try to teach them.
Yeah.
That's a big thing for me as like a non-doctor. When I think about that, kind of that ripple effect. Like these doctors that we have recruited, they're out there, they're treating people's pain. I call it post-trauma.
Yeah.
What's done is done. Those teeth they're blasted out, and they've been in pain for a long time. But we go in these little elementary schools, and you see these little kids. We do the fluoride treatments because it gives us a chance to see their mouths. So it's kind of like a trick a little bit.
Sure.
Hopefully none of the kids are that we work with, but it gives us a chance, and you don't even have to be a doctor to diagnose. I usually take I'm always trying to get non-doctor volunteers to go out there because the clinic itself is kind of like a machine, you know, and so there's gears to the machine, and it takes good 10, 15 people that are non-doctors. Because the doctors are supposed to be at their stations. It's actually kind of fun because as a non-doctor, you get a boss around doctors that are, they're the top of the food chain out here. But yeah, so I get the non-doctors and me, and we'll go into these little elementary schools and put fluoride in, and you'll see bombed out teeth. I mean, gnarly. So we have this little system where we'll put the fluoride on, and then I'll just raise my hand, or one of the volunteers will raise their hand for a teacher to come over, and we're saying, write down her name, call her parent, and let her know that we need to see her in the clinic before we leave.
Yeah.
And so and that's the crazy part, is I would say, started kind of keeping track of it, but about 25% of the kids have just a tooth that's so severe. It's got to be
25%.
Yeah. So if we go in, yeah.
Yeah,
So we'll go in and help 100 kids, and 25 of them have got to get into that clinic, and it's not for like a cavity. It's like the tooth
serious work.
is,
Yeah,
like
serious work.
yeah, a non-doctor looked at it, was like, they need to go in there.
Man.
I'm not a doctor, but this is gnarly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You
Man.
sound kind of passionate about the whole doctor dentistry thing, and for you to be accepted into dental school and forego that and focus on your own business, that must have been a hard decision. And what was it like when you were first starting out Smart Pest?
Dude, well, like you kind of make me want to tell a story about where that took place, because it's funny, life kind of came around in a circle on accident for me.
Yeah, definitely.
So I was trying to decide whether to go to dental school or have a guy that said, hey, I'll make you a 30% owner if you just help sell for my company and build it up. So I was like, man, go to dental school, get into debt a few $100,000, or like try to be a business guy, you know, run a pest control
Both
company.
sound good.
Not what I had in store, but you know, something to consider. And so I called randomly online, and I found a little group that was going to be going to Oaxaca, Mexico. That's where Nacho Libre was filmed.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and I said, I'm not a doctor, but you know, I'm thinking I want to be, and maybe I could come out there and just see what it's all about at this thing. And he said, and I said, I can speak Spanish. I went on a Mormon mission to Argentina, so.
So you speak fluent?
Yeah, I speak fluent.
Oh,
well, now it's kind of getting messed up, because like Argentine Spanish has this weird accent to it. It's like, yo me llamo. It's like Buenos Aires people, but like, and now I'm in the Dominican Republic, and it's way different.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, a lot of slang. Yeah,
Oh,
I've
man.
been to y'all before. Yeah, it's a whole different setup, different Spanish.
But he said, I would love to have you come out, please. And it was just a little clinic, you know. So this is my first experience like with dentistry. And I went out there, and I was translating for the doctor, and I was this young, super altruistic, you know, puppy still. And I got this moment with the doctor. I was all excited to talk to him, because that was the whole reason why I was there. Was, you know, is this what I want to do with my life? So it's 1:30 in the morning, and we just finished the last day of clinic, and he was a little tipsy, came rolling in. He was hanging out with his son all night, and I was like, cool, I got time with my doctor, you know? And I'm just like, this gotta feel good, right? Like, you're out here, you're helping these people. This is why I want to be a doctor. I want to do this. I want to help people. And he goes, I can't help these people. And I'm like, what are you talking about? We just helped a ton of people. And he goes, look at the line. It's out the door. It's always out the door. He goes, I got these two hands, and I can only do so much in a day. We're going to be here 4 or 5 days. And he's like, I really can't make that big a difference. And I'm like, no, but you are, like, you know, like just with that person's life, you know, it's cool what you're doing. But that's really what kind of got, I call it my first existential crisis. I've had like 9, but this was the first one. Because I was out there, and I was just like, oh man, he's right. Like, I could become a doctor, but then I can only help so many people, and then I got to go back to my job, and then I got to, you know, I got to go and actually perform dentistry so I can make enough money to go away. And my idea, you know, when I was young and didn't know how the world worked, was, you know, oh well, I could just, you know, maybe only make $100,000 a year, and I could spend the rest of the time doing that. But being out there for that week in Oaxaca, I had like dental assistants, and the hygienists and stuff were there, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, how are they going to have a life? If I'm like, I won't be able to have a practice, it won't work. You're going to have like a team of people.
That's true.
And so I stayed up, you know, all night kind of thinking about that. That's what made me decide to give this a chance with the business, because that I remember thinking at age 26, I was like, you know what, the world needs more people that are willing to impart to those that don't have. Maybe I can still, it's what made me realize, like, I can make a difference maybe, but maybe even in a different way and in a grander scale. Because if the line's out the door and it's never going to go away, then maybe if I have something set up where we can continually bring doctors to service these people, then you have a continuous chain of those that can with those that need. And yeah, that's kind of why I decided not to go to dental school, was to pursue the life of an exterminator. I like the there's it's in what is it, Saving Silverman, where he's just like,
Oh, I forgot about
I
that.
haven't
I've seen that in a long time.
yeah.
I forgot about Saving Silverman.
It's
Yeah.
like, what do you do for a living? It's
Yeah.
like, I'm in the pest and rodent remediation business.
It's a big
Exterminator.
business, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
it's
big
exterminator if
business.
you want to be a dick about it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So you guys are based in Arizona, and then
Yes.
you also branched out, obviously, in Vegas too. So
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
So
we've
you guys
been-
in 2 states now, or
Yes.
okay?
Yeah, Smart is, it just had its 11th birthday last July,
Oh,
July
that's good.
1.
All right.
And so we actually moved into Vegas on the birthday of its 10th birthday.
Oh, awesome.
So
Okay.
July 1. So we've been here for about a year and a half.
Good stuff. Yep.
Started with me in a truck, 2000 Nissan Frontier out in Phoenix.
Mm.
In the apartment industry, there was like 6 apartments that gave me a shot.
Mm. Mhm.
And so we just got a good reputation, kept growing and growing there. So now we have over 400 apartment complexes that use
Oh
us
wow,
for
yeah,
pest
it's
control
huge. Yeah.
in Phoenix, and then we just got started a year and a half ago out here. But yeah,
So CS.
there's a lot of business that happens, I think, in Phoenix and in Vegas. There's like they're like sister markets,
Yeah,
right?
you know, Vegas and Phoenix too, it's a really competitive market. So you have a lot of people that are doing it. What is it that sets you guys apart, and like how are you changing to adapt to that and make sure you're staying ahead of the curve and creating new business?
We are. I like that question, and the best way I answer it is we're different in every possible way.
Yeah.
When people try to say, give me apples to apples, I say, well, I've spent 11 years trying to become an orange. like how am I different than the competition? I looked at every single way that it was being done, and I felt like it wasn't really serving the customers the way it should, and I tried to do it different. So now we have 11 years of it. I would say, like, as far as the apartment industry goes, like, we're very much niche.
Okay.
There was a book called Blue Water Strategy, I think it was called. I didn't even read the book, but I love the principle. It made sense. Red water was like a bunch of sharks that have gone into like a cove, and they're all eating on the same school of fish. And so they're just, the water is red with like the sharks, tearing each other apart, and there's blood in the water.
Yeah.
The blue water is that there's a shark that just goes out. He's a smart shark.
Makes his own lane. Yeah, I got
And
you.
and then he feeds on his own school of fish. So like, there's something to that about like a niche market. We got into the apartment industry. We got a good reputation there. And so everything that we started to do just catered to them. We started to understand their world and the stuff that they go through and the challenges that they have, Bed bugs actually became an issue like right after I started my company. It's funny
Was
that
it-
like
did it start
it was
in the
it was
hotels
it was an
first?
epidemic for the world, and I was
Yeah.
like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Like, bed bugs, like I thought they were gone for forever. Everybody did. But
Did it start in Vegas? Did it start more in the hotel industry, or was it in apartments?
It's apartments.
It was in apartments.
Yeah,
Okay.
about 99% of what we do is apartment complexes.
No, but I'm saying
Oh.
the bed bugs when it had the kind
Oh.
of scare in Vegas, wasn't that in the hotel? Or
You know what? It would make sense that it would have been.
Start there, yeah.
Okay.
In the apartment industry, whenever there's like those weeklies or those monthlies or something where there's like a rotation of people coming through all the time.
Yes, yes.
You can't stay on top of it. So I would see in hotels where it's like one after another. People always moving in, coming from other places. Yeah, it seems
Has
like
it died down a bit though?
What's that?
Has it died down here? It feels like it has.
As an industry, over the last 10 years, because it's been about 10 years.
10 years since it started getting crazy.
In the industry, the bed bugs are still running crazy.
wow.
They're not going away. It's not like we're not beating them at the game, but we are good at getting rid of them. In the
what do you
beginning,
like
everybody was learning how to still do it. Now everybody knows. So a lot of pest control companies are good at getting rid of them, where before there was a learning curve too.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you do, like, for example, for our listeners, like if you're checking into a hotel, what do you recommend them to do before they put their stuff down, or you know what I mean, go
Sure.
lay in the bed or whatever?
What I don't recommend is pulling out a black light.
Jesus Christ.
That's for scorpions.
I'm about to, man. Yeah, I wouldn't even want to know. Yeah,
No.
I wouldn't even want to know. Yeah.
Things that we tell people, they hitchhike.
Okay.
They don't jump up on you. They crawl. They don't have
I'm
wings.
starting to itch right now.
It's like
Yeah.
no, but when they first come in, what we always tell people is knowing that they're hitchhikers. Keep your luggage off the bed.
Yeah.
I used to always throw throw my luggage on one bed, you know, the two queens.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
You know, I used to just jump back and forth, you know, on the beds just because it was exciting. I had a whole room to myself.
Yeah.
That was when I was like 22, and then I grew up. And
Got you. Yeah.
but yeah, you throw the bag on the one bed, but that's not a great idea, just because then it gives
Travel.
the whole weekend for bugs to be able to crawl into the bag. So they'll usually crawl into something that you brought. So you take that thing, you stick it over in they usually have those little chair thingies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So put it on that, keep it away from beds and stuff.
Well, that's what I always do too.
But I find like today though, if it's a reputable brand, reputable hotel, they just can't even afford for a second to have that reputation. So I'm sure we're not big into the hotel industry, but just knowing the apartment industry, you just don't want that stigma. And so a lot of them have got things in place. I did hotels before I started Smart way back when in my earlier days, and we would go in and just have to inspect every vacant, you know, room of that day when we would go, and that way we randomly would just do inspections. So I'm sure they got processes in place and stuff. But yeah, so
that makes sense.
That's the big one. Don't leave anything laying around that they can climb into.
Why is it? I'm sorry, I cut you off, Chris.
You say you've been in Vegas a year and a half now. What is it that you like about Vegas, and what made you kind of foray into this market?
You know, I growing up in a tiny little town, like I'd always just heard about Vegas, and the first story I ever heard about Vegas that I really wanted to come to Vegas was the Stratosphere. I was a Mormon missionary in Argentina of all places, and this new missionary come in. I'd been in Argentina for like 7 or 8 months, and he's like, I just went to Vegas, and there's like this ride you can go on, and it's super high up, and it shoots you up into the air even higher, and you drop down, and I'm just like, that's the first thing I'm doing when I get home from Argentina. I got like 18 months, but then I'm going, and so when I was in college, we drove from Salt Lake down to like LA and passed through Vegas. So that was my first time. I was like 22 years old, and I was like, this is crazy.
Did you get on the ride?
Huh?
Did you get on the ride?
On the of course. It was like it's funny because it was like, I don't know, midnight or 1 or something, and my wife is like, I'm gonna sleep in the car, you go do this, you weirdo. And so she like slept in the parking garage, and I went up by myself to go do this, and I was like, it didn't disappoint. It was it's called the Big Shot on top of the Stratosphere. I guess
still haven't done it
now.
I haven't done it. I'm too nervous to go there.
But I love Vegas. I really do. I think it's a lot like Phoenix. It's got, you know, people think that, I don't know, it gets like the stigma that it's just this party town, but then when you get outside of like just that one little area,
it's one row.
It's just one row, and it's the road that everybody tries to avoid here because that's where the traffic is. You know, in Phoenix we just try to stay away from the airport at 5 o'clock. You know, but yeah, but Vegas is cool. I like it a lot. There's never a dull moment. Actually, one of the things I love the most about like having expanded out here is that now we have employees of ours that come out and are helping us to build our brand here, and so we get to like take them around and show them shows and you know, we're slowly kind of acquiring. I was just talking with my niece about it. She's here right now with me this weekend, and I said we need to make a book of like all the little hidden gems that are here in Vegas. Because everybody goes, you know, to those major hotels and stuff, but it's actually like,
they don't know all the beat path.
There's so many cool
underrated
things. What's that?
It's very underrated.
That's true. What do you want your company's brand to represent?
Like our ethos. To give.
That makes sense, and especially what you're doing with bio. That's good.
Yeah, I always say that like I didn't expect to have the type of success. You always kind of hope that you do, obviously, when you start out. I found out later the statistics are not good when you start a small business.
For sure,
that it'll last 5 years, and let alone 10. And I actually just read that in a book when we were in year 9. I'm like, man, I'm glad that I didn't hear the statistic when I first started.
No, it's overwhelming, for sure.
But no, I feel like life's given me more than I ever thought that it would, coming where I come from and from these parents that were just awesome parents. But and I just want to teach my daughters, and I found too that I want to teach other people, you know, other businesses that that the world needs more. I call it a tribe. I actually don't have it on me, but I've been wearing this thing that hangs from my hand that one of the volunteers gave me. It says tribe on it, and it's because I always go on this diatribe at the end of our clinics when I'm talking to these doctors, because I get a lot of 4th year dental students, and I'm trying to kind of infuse. I call it infusing my madness on them.
You said madness. I got you. Yeah, I got you. Heard you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I basically say something along these lines, guys. You're privileged already, because you're here. You know, you're going to be a doctor, and yes, you're like $400,000 in debt, but you're here helping people when you're at your rock bottom.
True.
You know, $400,000 in debt, and if you can volunteer when you're you know, this far into debt, and our volunteers actually pay to go to their own. Everybody pays about $1,500 to go and participate.
That's pretty cool.
And it helps pay for the clinic. So if 30 people go, we have $45,000 to work with. You know, so we can get the bus, we can get the, you know, the hotel and all of that stuff. But what I always try to tell them is that if you can do it now, you can do it in the future. You can keep doing it. You know.
It's a way to get back for sure.
Yeah, and that's what happened with me. Like, I started getting into bio in the early years, like when the company was like 2 or 3 years old. I had a friend the finance guy. I started giving everybody like a 401k and health insurance. And this is when I think we had like 5 or 6 guys. And he's like, you know, you don't have to do this. Like, companies your size don't usually do this. And what I said to him is, I said, but how do I not? How do I not do that? Because if I don't give to them like these big companies can, then how do I keep good people? And Confucius, I think it was, everybody gets credited for stuff, but I live by this kind of creed that Confucius said. He said, give first to like your family, and then your village, and then the world. But I find that kind of works simultaneous, you know, trying to help my parents out and have a happier retirement, supplement the pension. And then my village, that's my smart people. That's the people that help us. And then the world is the stuff that we're doing out in Bright Island.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Good stuff. So just flipping up, I got a little sidetracked. What's your? We always ask people this. What's your favorite restaurant in Las Vegas?
It's easy. It's Round Table Pizza.
Round Table Pizza.
Yeah, I never had that.
Wow. Okay. Never had
it. You never had it?
No, not since I was a kid.
No, but that was it's the pizza of my youth. You know, we in that tiny little town, we had like a pizza place, and it was Round Table Pizza. So I grew up on that stuff.
So that is.
And then we don't have it in Arizona.
Oh, so when you can come here,
when I came here and I found out there was a Round Table, it's kind of like I have to make that stop every single time.
There you go. Okay, good stuff. So shout out to Round Table.
Yeah, well, I'm a man of simple needs.
There you go. Just 2 quick questions for you. What's your personal goals, and where do you kind of see yourself in the next 5 years?
Next 5 years. First, hopefully I'm still alive. You know, you never know when you're gonna go.
Yeah, that's true.
That's actually, I would say, what prompted me. There was a book I read called "Start Something That Matters" by Blake Mycoskie.
Okay.
He's the guy that started Tom's Shoes. And
you everything you pay, and then they
give
back.
the 1 for 1.
Yeah.
You buy shoes, and then they give shoes to a kid somewhere.
That's awesome.
And so I read a lot of books. It was actually in that book that I, you know, because I was a biology major in college, and so starting a business was like, oh man, like what do I do? And I started picking up like CEO books and started reading biographies like Steve Jobs and everybody. Genghis Khan is actually that was a good one. It taught me a lot about leadership. Especially in my industry where we kill for a living. But but start something that matters. That was advice he gave me in that book. He said read everything you can. He goes, I read everything I could. Because I had to learn myself how to become a CEO, and that's exactly how I did it. I've read so many books from all of this. He said, near the end of the book, he says, it doesn't matter what you do, just do something.
Got it.
If you can donate a little bit of money, then donate money. If you can donate time, do it. And don't say, I'll do it when, because there's no guarantees that happens, you know? And so I kind of... we started when the company was really young. I took care of the village, and for the world, we were buying we went through worldvision.org.
Okay.
And you can buy chickens, you can buy pigs,
Okay.
and goats, and they have these pre-selected families, and they'll give a goat, or they'll give a couple of chickens, and so then they mate those chickens, they produce the eggs, and then they kind of get a leg up to be able to sell, the eggs like in the marketplace, or they teach them how to make goat cheese, and that kind of thing, and so it gives them. So that was what I did in the early days, was just donate money. I was trying to grow the company, and I didn't have time to help with anything. But that was the big thing for me, that transition once I got involved with Bright Island, was it started to become the sacrifice of like my time. I'm out there probably 60 daes out of 365, so it's a substantial amount of time. But that book said, just do something, do anything, and don't wait. So
how can people get a hold of Bright Island, and obviously know about Smart Pest if they wanted to hire you to be out there, but first with Bright Island, how, if somebody wanted to go in January, where would they go?
Yeah, if you go on to brightislandoutreach.org,
okay.
Follow us on Instagram too, because then you can DM us or whatever. But brightislandoutreach.org, and then there's a couple of buttons. One is volunteer, the other one is donate. Okay. So you can't.
So you can still always give money to be able to do it, support it.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like I did with the cows and the chickens, right?
Awesome. Okay.
But the volunteers, you click on the volunteer button, and it scrolls down and it tells you the dates that you can sign up for.
Okay.
And our theme, or I guess our like you asked, what the ethos of SMART is. But for Bright Island, it's called Travel with Purpose. Okay. That's like our slogan, because it's the basic idea is that we're not religious in any way. Used to be, but now I'm more of a heathen.
There you go.
But so it's not religious based at all. It's just a bunch of do-gooders. That's why I like the tribe idea. It's like the world has a tribe of good people that want to do good things. Yeah. And what I've learned is that people are just looking for a Sherpa. People want to help. Yeah. We actually, and one of these books I read, it said that we're 10% chimp, but 90% bee. And what he meant by that is like, yes, we have that kind of carnal nature, that selfish nature. That's that 10% of us, We do fight and war and kill. Yeah. But we're 90% bee, and a bee is like, plug me into the system. A bee says, I will help everybody else, So we have like this altruistic, it's built in us, Yeah. So most people want to help, but like me, it's like, but where do you help,
Yeah. And where do you start?
Where do you start? And I thought like, oh, how can I help with, with dentistry? Like that's a weird one. I'm a bug guy. Eventually I have hopes to be able to do some stuff with mosquito nets and malaria. Yeah. In other
that's
countries
huge.
And stuff.
For sure.
So trying to help Bright Island grow and kind of be this self-sustaining, thing, and then. But that would be something that I was always thinking about. But being in dentistry and doing that, it's a beautiful thing. And I've had a lot of interest in clients that now want to go. Yeah. And that's what kind of made me realize it's like, when I was like, it's kind of a higher purpose now. Like I went out to just work on the logistics. And then what really kind of became fun for me is I became a mentor accidentally to. Pardon the pun, accidental. I accidentally became a mentor because these 24, 25-year-old fourth-year dental students that were getting ready to start their own practices, and leave 10 years of school were just kind of, they learned I wasn't a doctor, and they're like, well, that's weird. Like, everybody always thinks I'm a doctor, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, I don't speak dentist. I speak part dentist, But becoming a mentor to those kids became something kind of cool. Like I liked the idea that like, should I die tomorrow? Yeah. Something that I said, my madness that I infused maybe. Even if I've got over 800 alumni, doctor alumni. We have some doctors have been back 6 or 7 times for us. Yeah. But I think about all those students that have gone out into the world, and if they listen to my advice to just go and
do something,
donate just a little bit of time, then it'll be a good thing for the world that I didn't become a doctor and I decided to
doing this other stuff
for a living instead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If people wanted to hire you for, let's say, their home or anything like that, where would they reach Smart Pest Solutions at? Can you shout out your website and all that good stuff?
Yeah. That's a funny, crazy part of the story, but yeah, our website is just Smart Pest AZ.
Okay, for Arizona, yeah.
Yeah, smartpestaz.com, where you can find us. But I didn't really have a website. That's another crazy thing.
You just jumped on it?
I've got over 40 employees now, but I started in 2008, so it was the recession. So all the things that you want to do or you think you should do, I couldn't do.
Yeah. Expensive,
I used to tell people that I'm learning to, because there was a lot of naysayers. It was 2008, it was the recession. So people were saying,
you're starting a business in the recession?
Yeah, so they're like, don't do this. Why are you doing this? Everybody's losing their jobs. But you know, I'm weird like that, and I liked the challenge. And the way I said it to people is, I said, look, I look at it this way: I'm learning to swim against a current, and eventually the current's going to go away. And if I survive, I'll be a really strong swimmer.
And who else is starting businesses in the recession?
Yeah. And it worked. It's true. Yeah. You know, that it went just like that. I mean, what ended up happening is I couldn't get into trouble, I couldn't get into debt, because nobody was going to give me money.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You just had to fight and get it done.
Yeah, I had a few credit cards, and I paid payroll on, you know, if I needed to. I do cash advances and then pay them right back. That was my line of credit. So I'd do a cash advance on all the cards and be like, okay, we made it, you know. And then the money would come in, and then we'd pay them back off real quick, you know, because we needed it for the next time. When I finally got a business bank to give me work, to work with us, it was like 4 years after I'd started the business. And he looked at what we were doing. I think it was probably running a year 4, like 9 trucks or something by then.
Yeah.
And he said,
overhead's high. Yeah.
and he goes, how'd you do this, like, without a business, without a bank helping? And I was like, it was tricky. It was really tricky, you know. But yeah, so I'm a tangent guy. What was your original question?
No, just seeing how they can reach out to you. So you said Smart AZ with the website. I got you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So the website's new. We're still developing it. You know, after 10 years, we just barely got it. So
that's cool, man.
But yeah, you can find our phone number and stuff like that.
Good stuff, man.
We specialize in pigeons, bed bugs.
Yeah, the whole 9.
All of it. Yeah.
Good stuff.
We do it.
We appreciate you hanging out with us, man.
Thank you. But I'll say this though. I think the biggest plug for Smart is that's the vision, and I have a group of people that are all behind me, and they appreciate. They like what we're trying to do. The life's given me more than I still live in my 1,100 square foot house. Yeah. The one that I bought when I was a puppy out of college.
Wow.
And I drive a Prius and a 1990 Bronco. So
that
I bought on Craigslist for $1,000. But
that's awesome. humble beginnings, and right?
Yeah. So when people use Smart, like I'm just gonna spend it to help the world. Like
that's awesome, man.
That's the goal.
Yeah, you need to advertise that more.
What's that?
You should advertise that more.
Yeah, it's, you know, that's the thing. I just people are motivated by different things, and some people want the fancy stuff. Some people want, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some people want the big house and stuff like that. But I kind of decided, I've got 2 daughters, 15 and 9 years old, and I kind of decided that I want to create the environment I was in. You know, with my parents that didn't have. I thought if I do this right, then my 15-year-old daughter in high school, her friends would have to say, your dad owns that company? I see his trucks everywhere. Like, you guys are rich. And have her come up to me and be like, Dad, are we rich?
That's cool, man.
It happened at like age 12, but and I thought, I'm doing it right then.
Yeah. You know, that's one thing I'll say is that's why we wanted to have you on, was because of that. When I first was talking with you, I think it was over a year ago, I'm like, man, this dude's different. You know, we were talking
I prefer the term eccentric.
No, you're different because we start talking, and you don't talk about obviously what you have and all this other stuff. You're talking about, hey, this is what's going on, and this is what I'm doing in DR. And I'm like, damn, you go to DR and all of that. So it's exciting, man. We're rooting for you, man. We know, Smart Pest is a good company, and then with Bio, I mean, it's just awesome to see what you guys are doing and see the future of you guys, and then what you can do in Vegas too. So hopefully we can be a part of that with
I
Vegas
hope you
Circle.
will.
Yes.
I hope you
Yeah.
will. If
Yeah.
people go out in January, they'll probably meet Nelson Cruz. We partied with him last year
That's good
because
stuff.
he wants to say thank you to the doctors that are out there
That's
helping
awesome.
his people in his little town.
Sure.
Yeah, it's on my to-do list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please do.
No, I want to come. I mean, I definitely
Yeah.
want to come and be able to do it because I know it'll change your world and rock your world a little bit. So,
Big time. I
Yeah.
actually, I don't know, I'm probably out of time, but I want to just leave this. This
Yeah.
is what's cool about going out somewhere and doing charity. There's like two parts to us. We have our identities and we have our roles, right? And we're in our roles here. This is where, we have to be dad, we got to be brother, we got to, do whatever it is that we're doing to earn the paycheck,
Sure. Yeah.
And so we're so wrapped up in our roles. But you go out somewhere to a country in need and in the middle of nowhere. And I realized this because I had a guy that was like really high up in his industry. Had kind of worked his way up in a big corporation. And then I had a SWAT sergeant with me that had been a SWAT sergeant for like 40 years. And then there was me. So we have this business guy and this SWAT guy and this bug guy. And we're sitting in this little lagoon in this like river because after sweating all day in the clinic, we'd like going and we're sitting in there and I'm like, and that's where like I had this epiphany. I go, you know what's cool about this? We've stripped ourselves of our roles and now we tap into our identity. And what's our identity? Well, it's that 15-year-old kid that used to like to go get muddy. It's that 9-year-old little boy that used to catch frogs, under the train tracks. And so our identity is really just who we are as a person. And when you go out and you serve, that's what happens is you just get to be you, the person, not you, the whatever it is
the
you're
whole
doing.
cookie cutter other stuff.
And so you made me think that because you said, it's life-changing. It is.
Yeah.
You come back different. You do. You appreciate what you have. When I came back from Argentina, in my little house, it was a humble little house. I remember I went to the walls and I started touching them. They looked a lot like this, only with like grandma wallpaper.
Yeah.
But but I would touch the walls and I was just like, these walls are so clean.
Yeah.
Compared
to being third world, yes.
Yeah, it's like it's there's no exposed brick, and I remember kind of a cultural shock coming back after 2 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, you go somewhere else and you realize no matter how bad you have it here, how good you have it.
Yeah, how blessed we are in the United States, for sure. So
yeah, I feel like I need that.
Yeah, it'll change the world, man.
I think I just recruited a couple of
we definitely had to have you come on to talk about it a bit. So man, we appreciate you hanging out with us, man. We have to have you come back and share more what you guys are doing and impacting, and definitely how people in Vegas can help. So definitely check them out, and appreciate you hanging out with us at the Tick Exchange, and you check us out at thevegascircle.com.
Thank you.
So thanks,
Awesome.
man. Awesome, man.